Notice of the meeting has been posted for the time and manner required by law. Our first order of business will be invocation and pledges by Trustee Mary Jane Bonfield.
Thank you. I recognize that today we're all here on a Saturday because what brings us here is a heavy issue on all of our hearts. So I want to take a moment to pray with my fellow board members to ask for our hearts and minds to be stilled and for wisdom. And for anyone in the audience, please take this as a time to do the same in your own heads or take a moment of silence to do the same within yourself. Dear Lord, we recognize that every blessing we have flows from you. We thank you for the blessing of our community. We thank you for the blessing of being free to bring differences of opinion to a public dialogue. And we thank you specifically for our common blessing of Highland Park ISD and the role it has played and continues to play in so many of our own lives, as well as in the lives of all of our children. We as board members come to this meeting with many thoughts and feelings, and Lord, I ask that you would still each one of us. Help us to remember that you are God, you are the creator of all things. Your ways and thoughts are higher than our own. We humbly recognize and confess today that we as board members do not have all perfect answers. And we call upon you today and ask for guidance and wisdom as we seek to fulfill the responsibilities of our position. And we ask that you would give each one of us open ears and open hearts as we listen to the community and to each other's perspectives. I boldly ask that our conversation as a board would be filled with an obvious felt spirit of patience and unity, as well as your peace that transcends all understanding. I ask all these things. Amen. And please stand with me as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge the allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now turn with me as we say the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Now's the time for public comments. As you may or may not know, we received over 600 comments in the portal since Thursday afternoon. And so in light of that, the fact that we have over 50 people, we're going to limit comments to 1 minute. I apologize if you prepared a comment longer than that, but in the interest of the overall group, we thought that that was the best thing to do. Especially since I think that many of you have very similar concerns. There's really two viewpoints that came through loud and clear in reading through the 600 comments, and so I expect to hear a lot of those again today, which is perfectly acceptable. But so help us by keeping that limit to 1 minute. I'll read my official script. Some of you are used to it by now. The floor will be open for public comment. Members of the public who completed the citizen's comment card will have the opportunity to speak before the board. As most of you know, we cannot take action on a matter that is not listed on the public notice for this meeting. We know there are a lot of opinions about some of the issues we're facing, and we appreciate each of them. What we hope to see today, and what we expect to see, is that everyone is professional and respectful of everyone else's position, regardless of whether you agree with that individual or you disagree. This is a school board meeting, and school board meetings are often attended by students, and I see children in the audience today. And in light of that, we expect that you would behave in the way that we expect our students to behave in school. And so specifically what that means is that I'm asking you, I'm imploring you to refrain from cheering or clapping or hissing or booing or in any other way intimidating anybody either before, during, or after they speak. I'm asking you to set an example of the way we would expect our children to behave in a situation where they're in disagreement with somebody, but there's an opportunity for an open, respectful, professional dialogue. People are watching, we're being recorded, we're being live streamed, our kids are watching, and so I'm asking everybody for the collective benefit of all that we think is great in Highland Park to act with professionalism and common courtesy. With that, I will call the first speaker, who is Nick Verrill. And I believe, Tammy, you can set the timer. There'll be a timer on the screen to help you keep track of your time. And again, I apologize for those of you who prepared longer comments.
All right, y'all.
Well, if you'll please hit the little button so it turns green. That way everyone can hear.
Hello, my name is Nick Farrell. I won't take up too much time because I don't have much, but I'd like to say that my children will be the 4th generation of my family to be raised in this community. I think what we have here is an issue of the minority trying to govern the majority. We go to school. I recognize, like most of this crowd, 90% of us don't wear masks. 90% of the kids at school don't wear masks. We've already made our decisions. The state has made their decision. The Supreme Court has made their decision. The only decision that is being questioned is the decision here about putting masks on children. I don't believe that anyone on this board thinks that putting a mask on a child confers some sort of health benefit or mental health benefit. We all know it doesn't. We can all go in the study. So I recommend that we all just sign waivers and mutually release each other. The board comes up with a waiver, we all mutually release each other of liability, and you're going to need to get a liability release from the people that send their kids to school in masks because they're going to contract RSV later. So you need a liability from us who don't put our kids in masks, and you need a liability waiver release from those who do. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, seriously, I'm asking you, and I'm really expecting you to stop clapping and
What?
and stop cheering and stop intimidating the other people who are going to present different views. I'd like to point out that we have 600 responses that came in electronically, and we don't govern this organization by proxy. We don't send out referendum, and we're not trying to measure how many people feel one way versus how many people feel the other. We're trying to take all the input, and we're trying to do what's best for the students and the teachers and the community. Ladies and gentlemen, the next speaker is Tyler Hammond.
Grandstanding of the people who are wearing 3 masks at a time to put on a show. Can you tell them
Ladies and
to stop
gentlemen,
when we can't clap?
there's a time for public comment. You can address the public, and if you're not willing to honor the rules by which we're running the meeting, you will have to leave.
I thought you represented us. I pay a lot of property taxes in this town.
Our next speaker is Tyler Hammond.
Thank you. My name is Tyler Hanna. My family decided to start kindergarten this year with a fantastic teacher. At Armstrong, my hope for this year is that we can find a way to keep schools open without resorting to virtual learning. I'm here today because my daughter is part of the first class to be shut down at HPISD for the year. On Wednesday, August 25th, we received the first confirmed case, the second on Thursday, and 3 additional cases that we learned about Friday morning. The class was shut down Friday morning, and my daughter, who we kept at home to get tested, came back positive, leading to 9 total cases by the end of yesterday. Given they're more likely that not everyone had time to be tested, there are probably a significantly number of additional cases that are outstanding. Now we have to move to virtual learning, which is what, as a community, we were hoping to avoid. I'm fully vaccinated, had my test results come in this morning, which is why I'm here with you today. The current protocols in place will create significant challenges to our schools and lead to additional virtual learning. The discussion today is about masks and is easy to implement and should be done immediately. My concern is future delays will result in more instances of classes shutting down and the lack of education we want for our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. Our next speaker is Charles Monsinger.
Dr. Charles Monsinger, 4113 Shenandoah Street. My daughter's a freshman at Highland Park High School. I'm a graduate of the United States Air Force Academy, the Military Medical School. Served 25 years as a family physician and psychiatrist. The human smile has powerful neurologic effects. It increases serotonin, decreases fear and stress in the limbic system, which is the emotional center of the brain. And decreasing fear in the limbic system, it optimizes performance at the frontal lobes, which are essential to learning. We had a lot of anxious children, including my daughter, who started school recently, who were greeted with the warm, smiling faces of their teachers and classmates. Mask increase activity of the limbic system, thereby increasing levels of stress hormones and neurotransmitters, and setting the stage for anxiety, depression, and adverse consequences of learning. There is no medical literature proving the benefits of mask mandates in the classroom setting outweigh the harms done to children. I understand you have a very difficult job. Thank you for listening to my medical case.
Our next speaker is Lisa Faulkner.
Hi, I just wanted to say that, as he was just saying, my child is deaf. And when he is in a classroom with teachers that have masks on or even a clear shield, he cannot understand them. It sounds like mumbling to him, and I'm sure it sounds like mumbling to children who have hearing. So I think that is something that the board needs to take into consideration, is these children need to see their teacher speaking to them. They need to be able to see their smile, their face, and their peers. Also, I want to say, we go into restaurants all the time with the mask on. When we sit down, we take them off. So maybe an option is let them walk in through the schools with the mask on, and when they're sitting at their desk, they can take their masks off. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me? Oh yeah, that was Lisa Faulkner. I'd ask when you come up, if just for our benefit, if you say your name and your address. The next speaker is Stephanie. Is it Magalo or Magalo? Magalo.
Stephanie Magalo. I'm an HP resident. I'm parent of 2 teenagers in our district. I was happy to see a camera. I was hoping that the district was going to start recording these videos. When I've started attending board meetings, I've witnessed you all getting cussed at, booing, hissing of speakers, and you all were talking about that today, and I hope that you all start recording it. My mother-in-law is a 2-time cancer survivor. She was hoping to start attending these board meetings. It affects property values and our grandchildren's health. She has every right to know what's going on in this district, as do other people in her generation, and I'd like to see that available to them on the official HPISD website. Our high school has a wonderful media department. Our high school students are always looking for volunteer opportunities, and it'd be a great way to work that and give them a volunteer opportunity to record that board meeting. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Magalo. Our next speaker is Amy Schauber.
Hi, I'm Amy Schauber. I live at 3540 Rosedale. I have 2 students in the high school, and I just wanted to ask that to please continue making the mask wearing optional for all families. I think it's been working well. Those that still feel like the mask keeps them safe, they have that option to wear a mask, and those that feel it's necessary to wear a mask don't have to wear a mask. Anyway, I don't want to take up more time, but I just ask you to keep it optional. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schauber. The next speaker is, I believe it's Julie Trivedi. Or Trivedi?
Trivedi. I'm Dr. Julie Trivedi. I'm an infectious disease doctor and an epidemiologist. I have a 2nd grader at higher and an 8th grader in the middle school. This past week, we saw a dramatic increase in the number of students and staff that have tested positive. There were 115 cases from the 18th of the month when school started as of yesterday, and that's 85 over the course of 5 days, and that's more cases than we ever had when the pandemic was at its worst in January and February. The school district has entrusted the students, parents, and staff to be able to make the right decision with regards to masking, but the fact is that the number of cases that have occurred in the past week, even leading to the closure of the kindergarten class, has shown that the district needs to take a firmer stance on how we can allow our children to come safely to school. I can give many real-world examples of how masking has been beneficial at our institution. We've not had transmissions when both parties have been masked. Those have occurred when 1 or 2 have been unmasked. And so essentially what I would like to say is that all of you are entrusted with a big responsibility and a challenge to be able to balance the values and beliefs of the students and the families in the district with what is the best way to allow our children.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Trevetti, you are over your time.
Allow our children to be able to attend school in the safest manner possible.
Thank you, Dr. Trevetti. Thank you. Sorry, I'm sorry we had a couple of
So if you get sick, she's the one taking care of you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am asking, in addition to Mr. Sharp, that we act with the decorum. Please stop. Let me speak. With the decorum that we expect from our students. I had a discussion with a group of high school students that had viewed the video last week. And uniformly across the board, didn't matter what side was cheering or jeering or anything, they were horrified. Okay? It shouldn't be that hard for us to be respectful with one another. We are neighbors. So I'm asking, I'm begging, I am pleading that we all just do nothing after everybody speaks so that we can get through this and so that we can show what it looks like, unlike many other board meetings that have happened in our locality recently, of what it looks like to be neighborly, kind, and professional. And that's all I'm asking. Please don't clap. I'm asking to just please do that.
Follow the minute process, please.
We will. The first speaker, we will do it, okay? I'm asking, we've had 2 people go over so far.
I will do my best
We will do that.
to land the plane as fast as possible on each of the speakers for everyone's collective benefit. Our next speaker is Ms. Kelly McAtee. Mrs. Kelly McAtee.
Hi, I'm Kelly McAtee, and I am here to say that the mask issue is a losing issue for the district. People have already made up their minds. We have heard that in spades over and over again, and it's on either side. It has to be a choice. It is not the district's responsibility to care for my personal health. I don't wear this not to be a pain in the butt, but because my personal health doesn't do well with it. It triggers horrible migraines in my system that are very difficult to get under control once they've been triggered. I get dizzy, I get hypoxia. So for me and my personal health, not to mention the bacteria, we can send you all sorts of studies of the bacteria that the McAtee girls are more prone to than viruses. So for us and our personal health, it's not a good thing. I don't expect anybody to do what my body needs. The district needs to move on and get back to focusing on educating our children. It's a distraction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Nathan Magoo. Thank you for the phonetic spelling.
It's all good mispronounced every time in my entire life. Thank you guys. So Nathan Magoo, I live on Haney, and I have 2 children in the district. So I'll just focus on some stats. I've gathered a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, COVID has taken lives, and we know that each of those is precious. There's effectively zero statistical chance that one of our children in this district will lose their lives to the virus. There are more than 75 million young people in the United States under 19. In the 20 months we've dealt with COVID, 454 of those young people have died with the virus. Of course, it's unclear whether or not COVID had anything to do with their death, or if they had perished regardless of having the virus, as many of those children had severe underlying conditions. If we assume the worst case, that all of those children would have lived if not for having contracted COVID, that is 1 in 166,000 children, a 0.0006 chance of death. HPISD has enrollment of roughly 7,000 students. Statistically, the district would have to be 24 times the size to be at risk of losing a single student to the virus. In terms of all causes of death in children under 18, the CDC attributes only 0.85 of every 100 to COVID. That means 99.15, our children are 99.15% more likely to suffer death from another cause, yet we spend 99% of our time talking about COVID.
Thank you, Mr. Magoo. Jenny Wood.
Hi guys, my name is Jenny Wood. I think I know most of you. At the last meeting, you guys all agreed you wanted to follow the law, as any elected official should. And you're probably aware of the law. But for everyone else in this room, it's pretty technical and it's pretty confusing. On Tuesday, Judge Tanya Parker ruled in Jenkins-Abbott in favor of Jenkins and issued a temporary injunction against Abbott. The issue here being who has control during a disaster declaration, thus who can and who cannot mandate masks. Abbott and the state appealed that issuance of the injunction on Wednesday, and we are currently waiting on the 5th Court of Appeals to rule. While we wait, many people think that Judge Tanya Parker's issuance of the injunction against Abbott stands right now and that is the law. And they think Clay Jenkins can require masks and the board can require masks if they want to. However, that's not the case. Because the state is a party to this case, a governmental entity. There is a civil procedure code section that says the second that injunction is appealed, which I said it has been, Judge Tanya Parker's order is automatically stayed by operation of law. No one has to ask for it, it's the code. Therefore, that's the law, and all of y'all said you would follow the law, and that's where it is today.
Our next speaker is Ms. Sarah Wilcox.
Hi, thanks for having me. Sarah Wilcox, 4309 Higher, and we are thrilled to be a new Bradfield family. Far more children died of or with the flu in 6 months in 2017 and 18 that have died of or with COVID in the last 18 months did HPISD mask the kids in 2018. Also in 2018, 676 children 12 and younger were killed in traffic accidents and 97,000 were injured. Are proposing that we stop driving our kids to school. 14% of the children in this country are clinically obese. That's over 14 million children. And let me tell you, my Bradfield cafeteria volunteer training was disgusting. We are afraid of the wrong things. I sometimes hear my kid doesn't complain in a mask. Do our children know when to come home and tell us they're developmentally delayed, at risk in a car, or obese? COVID is here to stay. Unless you can distribute actual studies proving that there is a benefit that outweighs the detriment to putting my 6-year-old son in a mask, please uphold your wise and respectful decision to let families make their own health decisions without government force. Thank you.
That's Courtney Watkins.
Hello, my name is Courtney Watkins, and you know, you guys have seen me before, and I'm not sure why we're here again regarding the mask, because Governor Abbott's made it very clear that a public school district cannot mandate masks. But there's been one piece that's been missing, and it is what do industrial hygienists have to say about this? Because every doctor in this room, before they can ever do a case in a hospital, the hospital has to be inspected and monitored by an industrial hygienist. So I suggest that all of you in this room and on this board look up a gentleman named Stephen Petty, who is well-renowned as a certified industrial hygienist, certified safety professional, professional engineer, and he says, if I ever recommend in a court that people should be protected by wearing a mask, I would lose all my credentials. He also says that there isn't a single criteria that I find of the main criteria under the respiratory protection standard in OSHA where masks fit their criteria. Misuse of masks by children causes cross-contamination, making masks 0% effective. A moist mask is a breeding ground for bacteria and fungi, which can undermine viral immunity. We know this isn't about masks.
Ms. Watkins.
Okay, thank you, but you know, just remember that we are tired of coming up here and talking about this.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Rajiv Nihuan, and forgive me if I didn't pronounce that correctly.
Oh, good. Rajiv Nihuan. I live on Caruth. I'm a physician and have 2 boys at Boone. I think everyone here has the same goals. We want a safe environment for our kids and as normal of an in-person learning as possible. However, how we achieve that seems to be sounding pretty big. You know, some feel masks are disruptive. Isn't lack of in-person continuous learning more disruptive than masks? We heard about the virtual learning already occurring in Armstrong. Each student in this district should be guaranteed a safe learning environment. Your current protocols do the exact opposite. I've already lost 2 physician family members early in the pandemic, and I will do everything to maximize the safety of my family and my community. Mr. Ellis tried to get the board to vote last time, and most of the board last time was non-committal. You all have had plenty of time to review the data, hear from the community, read our non-stop emails. It's time to vote and show the community where you stand. Just remember to vote, not for your personal political biases or to appease your social circles, but vote for what is actually right for the school district, our community, and our children's education and safety. Not a single one of you, nor the district's lawyer, is an expert in safe school reopenings. And any single one of you thinks you know more than medical experts, the CDC, the AAP, the Dallas County Medical Society, but make consensus recommendations for safe reopening is
Dr. Nijman.
Don't believe actually any longer.
Thank you. All right, the next speaker is Theodore Baruti.
Thank you, Ted Baruti, 2904 Amherst. I've had 2 boys graduate from Mount Park High School. I've got a daughter that's a junior. 30 years ago, I graduated from SME Law School down the street. I've been a trial lawyer for 30 years. If you cave to these people who threatened to sue you to put a mask on my daughter, I'm going straight to the courthouse. This is the Supreme Court opinion, Texas Supreme Court opinion on Thursday. It leaves in place Governor Abbott's no mask mandate executive order. This is the law. This is the law in Texas. You do not have the legal authority to pass a mask mandate. And I can go to federal court tomorrow in the event I don't have to go to Judge Tanya Parker. I will give it the maximum legal fight I can to keep you from putting a mask on my daughter. There is 157 district courts in Texas. There is 1 Supreme Court. The AG's statement, no masks, period. Thank you.
The next speaker is Matt, is it Sutter? Suter? Looks like S-U-D-E-R. Bradfield parent? Okay.
That's a hard speech to follow. Anyways, I'm Matt Suter, proud parent of Hudson Suter, who started Bradfield this year. Once again, I want to say thank y'all so much for everything you've done and so far not caving to the loud minority over there. And I'm very confused to why we're here. Earlier today you said about setting an example. The example I'm learning is if you don't like the law of the land, i.e. everything he just talked about, throw a hissy fit. That's what you're teaching our kids. If you don't like the law that our governor puts down, throw a hissy about it. You know, there's a lot of observations from the last meeting. I realize I only have a minute. A lot of doctors gave their inputs on it. I think we can all remember not too many years ago, doctors were hawking cigarettes on TV and promoting cigarettes. So can we really trust these doctors? You know, and I want to say one other thing too, because we're running out of time. Silent majority. This school runs on parents' donations and volunteering time. While I'm speaking for myself, I think I'm speaking for everyone else. If you do a mask, people are going to start pulling their kids out of school. You're going to lose funding. I'm not going to write any more checks, and I will not volunteer anymore within the school district.
Amen.
Our next speaker is Dr. Zachary Dreyfus.
Hello, as you already know, my name is Dr. Zachary Dreyfus. I'm a pulmonary and critical care physician and have a master's in public health. At the last board meeting, I represented the letter signed by over 160 physicians which recommended masks. We are facing a shortage of beds for both children and adults in the ISD across North Texas. In the last 2 weeks, 2 pediatric patients had to be airlifted out of our area secondary to the bed shortage. Almost all of the currently hospitalized children became infected after the start of the school year at mask optional schools like ours. Most of these children were the first members of their households to be infected with COVID-19. My daughter doesn't know who her teacher is. Her teachers had to quarantine, my daughter's had to quarantine, and I would vouch that in-person learning is what we all want. But my daughter doesn't even know because there's been a different staff member with 2 different exposures in just 8 days. As doctors, we are continually having to tell people that things are not, or that are good for their health. That may be painful or uncomfortable. No one wants to get shot, no one wants to lose weight or stop smoking. But unfortunately, masks are necessary at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Francis. Our next speaker is Lynn Simoneau.
Thank you for hearing me. I'm Lynn Simoneau, and my husband and I, Bruce, live at 3508 Mockingbird. I feel that masks are important for our elementary and intermediate school kids. Over half of our HPISD students are 11 and under. Too young to be vaccinated. That's 3,300 of our precious children. I've had children come through this district as well. I'm a teacher at McCullough. I understand we all want the same thing for our children. We want it to be back to normal. We want things to be the way they were. But unfortunately, this new variant seems very aggressive. And I am watching children and teachers drop from class every day. And I love your children, and I want them to be safe. I'm not a doctor, but I believe that masks could help. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is David Stallnaker.
Thank you, Mr. President. David Stallnaker, Stanford Avenue, sophomore in high school here. Not with any root correlate or correlation, I'm just here as a constituent, a neighbor, hopefully a friend, and certainly a dad. I have 3 requests of the board and the Pandemic Response Committee. Please, number 1, be more transparent. I want to see the studies, I want to see the documents, the experts, the findings, conclusions, deliberations. Put them on the website, please, because we're all digging through the CDC and we found some things that are very interesting. We hope you have too. Number 2, please be more focused. There's really one core question. Do masks work to prevent the transmission of COVID? Engineers and scientists and robust studies around the world have shown there's no statistically significant difference between those that wear masks and those that don't in terms of contracting COVID. Number 3, please be careful. Find the narrowest possible fit you can to try and follow health and education without getting in between us and our kids. Thank you for all you do.
Our next speaker is Dr. Patricia Hicks. And Dr. Hicks, I think you had something you wanted the board to see, and I'll make sure that copies are provided afterwards.
Thank you very much for this time. I'm Patricia Hicks. I live on Windsor Parkway. I've had children in the district, graduating from Highland Park, and now have grandchildren in the district. But more importantly, I'm a pediatrician. I've been practicing for 34 years. I'm at UT Southwestern professor of pediatrics, and I work at Children's. I'd like to update you about some facts. Recently, this is the highest number of admissions to Children's Medical Center, and it's true. We don't have room in our hospital nor our waiting room in the emergency room. We have more patients in the ICU and more deaths in the last 2 weeks than at any time during the pandemic for pediatric patients, the far majority of whom are healthy children. I'm here really to speak and to relay messages from parents that I've had, many from this district, who have tremendous grief and regret and loss over their decisions or indecision. When I talk with them prospectively in the office about what are you going to do for masks, what are you going to do for seatbelts, the answers are certain about seatbelts. It's a restraint, it's not convenient, it causes distress, but they're still sticking with it.
Thank you, Dr. Hicks.
Please don't have regret.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker is Mario Santana.
Good afternoon, my name is Mario Santander. I live on Lover's Lane. My children are thriving sophomores at Highland Park High School. They went to Armstrong Elementary, they went to the middle school. Last year we actually pulled them from Highland Park School District and sent them to private schools here in Dallas. But starting with sophomore year, we pulled them back into Highland Park High School because the private schools were mandating masks. We didn't have an option, and that was unacceptable to us. So I respectfully have a recommendation for all the parents that are wanting to mandate a mask. Send your children to a private school where they mandate masks. If you need financial assistance, all the private schools offer financial assistance.
I'll give you the lead.
My last comment, if you'd all take a moment and think of your best high school or grade school memory, isn't that what you want your child to experience? Not a memory of being forced to wear a mask to school every day? I ask the school district to please keep it optional for a mask. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dr. Manish Asar.
Good afternoon, thank you. I'm at 2733 Amherst. Just want to clear up the absolutely false statement by a few people, the last meeting, a few people here saying that masks don't work to minimize the spread of COVID. There are several medical studies that substantiate the fact that masks do work, especially in schools when everyone is required to wear a mask.
Please stop interrupting the speakers.
If you're interested, and every parent I know is, in keeping the kids in school, there's going to have to be a universal masking policy. Look at what happened to our other districts, look at what happened to our district. Kids get infected, they get sent home. That defeats the purpose of what we all want, keep kids in school. Second point, the idea that the board, quote, recommended, unquote, that everyone wear a mask and that parents, teachers, administrators would take on personal responsibility to do so has not worked. That proposition has failed. Hardly anybody is wearing masks, and even many students who are trying to do the right thing by wearing a mask, they stopped wearing it because no one else was giving them the priority. Not the teachers, not the administrators, not the vast majority of students. It starts at the top. HPISD experiment to not make masks mandatory was carried out.
Ladies and gentlemen, you interrupted him. I'm giving him another 15 seconds to finish.
The HPISD experiment to not make masks mandatory that was carried out these past 10 days has failed and will continue to fail. It is contrary to basic medical judgment. I urge the school board to follow the science and not the politics and make masking required for all students and staff.
Thank you, Dr. Asar. Our next speaker is Joel Sims.
Good afternoon, and thank you for providing the opportunity. I'm not going to talk to the board members about the numbers. I suspect everybody has looked into that, and that's why we're having this meeting. I'm also not going to talk to the board about what the law is. I disagree with some of what's been said, but I assume that you all have very capable counsel that you can consult with. What I do want to talk about is something I talked about last time, the board may remember, is this idea of choice. For those of us with kids under 12, there is no choice. And to sit here and pretend that we have the option to send our kids to school with a mask and that will be effective is a joke. I have sent my child in every single day with a mask. And he comes out with no mask. And when I ask him, did he wear his mask today? A, for honesty, he says no. And I ask him why? He says because the other kids aren't and my teacher told me I didn't have to. My friend's daughter's a kindergartner at Armstrong. Not only did her kid's teacher tell him she did not have to wear a mask, she told her child she should take it off. And then we have teachers telling kids to take off masks and wonder why now the entire kindergarten class is quarantined for 2 weeks. So to sit here and pretend like we have a choice when our kids don't have a choice to get vaccinated, when the teachers aren't wearing masks, when nobody is enforcing it, when nobody is trying to honor the parents' wishes, it's simply not true.
Ms. Sims, thank you. All right, our next speaker is Dr. Chris Westerheim.
Good morning to the board and to parents. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Dr. Chris Westerheim. I'm a physician in private practice with over 20 years experience. And I stand before you as a physician to express my opposition to the mask mandate. The three reasons for this are, number one, there's currently no conclusive evidence or reviewed study that supports the hypothesis that masking healthy children prevents them from becoming infected or prevents them from transmitting the virus to others. I have 33 citations to support that claim. Number two, according to Dallas County Health and Human Services, as of yesterday, the total number of children under 18 who have died in Dallas County so far of COVID is 2. In that same time frame, 118 admissions to Cook Children's Hospital for attempted suicide have happened. My point is that there's a
Let me hit pause for a second. I'm sorry, did the microphone volume go off as well?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Dr. Wester Heidi, will you test it?
Everybody here?
Okay, maybe not start over, but maybe if you can go back like 15 seconds.
Okay, here's what I'll do, Mr. Sharp. I'm a physician, I'm opposed to the mask mandate for 3 reasons. One, there's no conclusive scientific evidence that they protect children or adults. And I have 33 citations to support that. Number 2, the Dallas County Health and Human Services, as of yesterday, reported 2 deaths in children under 18 from COVID since the pandemic started. In the same time, 118 children have been admitted to Cook Children's Hospital with attempted suicide, not counting the ones who tragically were successful in that endeavor. Lastly, our community has spoken. Both people who are for and against the mask mandate reported at the last meeting that at the teachers meet the teacher night, almost no one, parents, teachers, principals, were wearing masks. I think the community has spoken loud and clear what they want. In conclusion, I just would like the board to please err on the side of liberty for our community. Thank you.
Apologize for the technical glitch. All right, our next speaker is Mr. Jeff Mauser. I guess Roxana, if that happens again, maybe we can just shift over to the old-fashioned way. But thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Mauser. I live on 4133 Grassmere. I'm going to read something, historical passage. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty, ourselves and our prosperity, do ordain, establish this Constitution of the United States of America. We need to embrace this as our history, not ignore it. The issue is simple here. We, the people, do not want a mask mandate. We, the people, want you to follow the law. Yeah. And it's simple as this: if you vote a mask mandate, we, the people, will not comply. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mauser. Our next speaker is Cora Billingsley.
Hi, I'm Cora Billingsley. Can you hear me? And I live at 3128 Greenbrier Drive. I had 2 daughters that graduated from Highland Park and now have a grandson that's at high school. Teenagers are social beings at the height of their socialization. They have suffered so much during this virus and isolation. There is increased anxiety, depression, and the rate of teen suicide has risen. I'm worried about our kids. A lot of the students have already had COVID and have antibodies. Masks should be optional. If you're comfortable using one, let them use it. I was encouraged at your last meeting that you reminded us that we are a law-abiding community and that we will follow the law. So don't break the law. Do not mandate masks. Let our children remain free to have their own choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Billingsley. Our next speaker is Jennifer Roberts. It's a long walk from the very back.
Yeah, it is. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Jennifer Roberts. I live at 3619 Princeton. It's sad to me that we are here today under the current circumstances. We all want COVID to be over. But as Amesh Ajola, an infectious disease doctor from Johns Hopkins, recently said, COVID is going to be with us forever. I also want to express my gratitude and thanks to teachers, doctors, and frontline workers who have faced this pandemic head-on. Nearly 35 million Americans have tested positive for the coronavirus. Most of these people now have natural immunity. During an August 1st interview with NPR, Dr. Ajola was quoted as saying that the chance for reinfection is likely less than 1%. In recent days, the medical community has finally started validating the natural immune response. Though a vaccine might not be available for kids under 12, many who have recovered probably don't need one. Immunity is immunity, and even the CDC acknowledges this. My point is simply that there are many situations in which it makes no sense to issue universal masking mandates. I have heard compelling positions from many people over the last few months, concerns about mental health, concerns about speech delays, and the decision to mask should be a personal one. The law should prevail.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Laura Phelan.
Laura Phelan, thank you for your work that you've been doing on behalf of our students. Take a look at the May 21st CDC study released from this year. It was a study of more than 90,000 elementary school students in 169 Georgia schools from November 16th through December 11th. It was the first of its kind, according to the CDC, to compare COVID-19 incidents in schools with certain mitigation measures in place to other schools without those measures. The masking requirements of students failed to show an independent benefit. No statistically significant impact of masking the children. We use masks on prisoners in Guantanamo Bay to tear them down, to dehumanize them, to remove their ability to communicate as a form of torture. Our children are not sick. To teach them that their healthy, asymptomatic bodies can harm or kill their friends or family, or anyone, is wrong, is a lie, and it is brainwashing.
Our next speaker is Carl Harsura.
Hello, I'm Carl Harsura. I live at 2733 Amherst Avenue. I'm a family physician. I have a child that went through the school system and another who is a freshman. I'd like to thank you board members for this meeting and giving us your ear. I wish we weren't here in this situation right now. Ultimately, we all want our kids in school learning safely, period. But since we are not all on the same page about masking, could we please actively enforce that there is no tolerance of bullying of kids who wear masks at school? Children who do wear masks are more likely to be the subject of bullying as they are fewer in number and more likely to be singled out for trying to do what they think is right for their health. I have heard about cases of bullying of children who have been wearing masks. Another point is, as far as the mental health of our children, I hear about the concern that masks have a negative effect, but I urge you to consider that quarantining at home again and again is going to be more isolating than wearing a mask.
Thank you, Dr. Harsura. Okay, our next speaker is Dr. Sunil Reddy.
Hi there, I'm Sunil Reddy. I'm a cardiologist in a local area, and I'm a father of a second grader at Highland. So obviously we're meeting again just a couple of days later, and we've had more cases than we've had even at our peak last year. And I think there's probably two reasons to it. One is Delta variant has more transmissibility and infectivity. The second thing is, well, we were doing masks and we were doing all the social distancing stuff last year, and we're not doing that as much this year. So, and as a result, kids are getting sick. We're having school already, class shut down, and the one thing we've not mentioned is teachers. Teachers are getting sick. We can't have teachers getting sick because it's not if one kid can stay out, but if you lose a teacher, then you're basically losing where the curriculum is headed. So we can't forget about the teachers. The other thing too is we worry about education and obviously the social ramifications and personal things that the students may face with masks. That may be true, but it's even worse when they're at home. They're not getting education, they're isolated at home, way worse for the students. And that's happening, and it's still getting worse and worse. So I implore us to do masking and social distancing.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy. Our next speaker is Jamie Smith.
Hi, Jamie Smith, 3544 Milton. Cut right to the chase. In my opinion, socialization is the most important aspect of going to school. Grades and achievements are measurables that many people tend to focus on, but I've never really worried whether my kids would learn their letters or be able to add and subtract. I knew that they would be able to do those things in time. My bigger focus is on their people skills and their social and emotional development. Reading people and relating to people are skills that are highly valued in the real world. People that have the ability to connect with other people will likely have success professionally and personally. Having said that, masks and the fear that they create inhibit kids, particularly young kids' ability to read people's emotions and understand how they're feeling. Young children need to see smiles or approval or looks of disapproval. These are the building blocks for creating social skills and empathy. Not seeing faces and expressions is harmful and goes against literally what we have done since the beginning of time. My kids already struggle with anxiety, and wearing masks has only increased that struggle. My kindergartner needs to see faces so he can understand how his actions are affecting other people positively or negatively. My teenagers need to see faces so that they can have friends. COVID has shown us all how important face-to-face interaction is.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Our next speaker is, I believe, Isley Mann. Is it Isley Mann?
Hi, my name is Isley Mann. I'm a 7th grader at HPMS. I'm here to talk about masks at school. First things first, masks are very annoying and they're a huge distraction. They interfere with my learning. Last year, when they made me wear a mask, I couldn't hear my teachers and it was a big distraction for me. Also, I couldn't see my friends' faces and expressions. That was really annoying. Human connection is something that we need now more than ever, and masks prohibit that. You can't see a smile with a mask on. Please don't make it miserable for those of us who don't want to wear masks. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Ms. Mann. Our next speaker is Kristen. I don't have a last name on this one. Mockingbird, I believe. Oh. Can I get your last name?
Yeah, it's Daniels. I'm surprised you don't have it memorized. So I just want to say a couple things for all the doctors that came and these people came and put their masks down here. That is cross-contamination, and OSHA would have a violation of that. That's not a correct way. How you use masks or place masks, you'd have to have a clean one. And everybody in here is also assuming that kids can correctly wear masks. Have you guys been around children? I mean, they put them down on the ground, they go to the bathroom, they put them on the ground in the bathroom, then they put them back on their faces. It's completely disgusting. So anyways, I came up here to be quick, and I'm going to tell you and remind you about the law. You guys are all up here creating anarchy, chaos, and confusion, not only for our parents, but for the children. It couldn't be any clearer. If you pass a mandate now, you are breaking the law. You can't hide behind Judge Jenkins or Judge Tanya Parker. The Supreme Court, which you're not above, the Supreme Court spoke 2 days ago. So did Attorney General Ken Paxton. If you won't follow the law, don't expect anyone to follow your mandates either. You guys have a duty and you took an oath to follow the law. So everybody come up here and say how they feel or how the kids feel. You guys need to follow the law.
Thank you. The next speaker is Paul Kelsey. Kelsey? Kelsey.
Hey, you got it this time. Paul Kelsey, live on Emerson. Make no mistake, this entire thing has been political. It's been political from day one. If everyone had just let the virus run its course, it would have gone through. There would have been no problems. That's a fact. Now we're dealing with this, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. The law says this, the law doesn't say that. Doesn't matter what the law is, there's right and there's wrong. And also, this is how totalitarianism starts. It starts with the mask. Just wear the mask. Just accept it, wear the mask, it's okay. Don't worry about that quarantine facility we're building out by the airport like the two that Australia is building right now. Don't think that can't happen here. This has happened in other countries. There are people in this country who have seen what has happened. Bolshevik Russia, Nazi Germany, Cambodia, Cuba. It goes on and on. It's always the same course of events. Make no mistake, people in this country have taken notice. You've been warned.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Our next speaker is Jennifer Buckles.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Buckles. I live at 4445 Edmondson, and I have a son in 4th grade. I think that I'm really sad that we're here again, we're doing this again. The law has not changed since the last time we were here. I think that obviously my comments are going to reflect several people's here, which I'll tell you, this community gives me hope. There's a lot of educated people in this room, and the vast majority of us, I can see their faces, and I love that. I think that, you know, if you guys decided to overstep your bounds as board members of a school district and to violate the law, I think I want to remind all the parents here that this does not end with compliance. We have to stop complying to this stuff. This will not end with more masking, okay? Masking has created all kinds of side blowback issues. This will not end with 1, 2, 3, 10 doses of a vaccine. This ends when we, the people, realize that we have control. You know, we're in a unique situation in this district. We all have the ability to pull our kids and go elsewhere. That's not always the case in, say, the ISD. Also, we have lots of lawyers among this group,
Ms. Buckles,
and
your time is up.
we will go the distance. So.
Thank you. The next speaker is Melissa Schroeder.
Oh, good. I thought I was going to be too short and wouldn't be able to see. Hi, I'm Marissa Schroeder. I live on Marquette Street, 3500 block. I researched so much that everyone is saying about masking and how they just don't work. So many studies. Go to maskscience.org, okay? And you will find all those studies. And I was going to quote them, but now I don't have much time. So you're not keeping kids safe by masking, but doing the opposite. You know what? They're in Florida. A group of parents sent their kids' masks to a lab and had it analyzed. This is what they found. The report found that the masks were contaminated with bacteria, parasites, and fungi, including 3 with dangerous, pathogenic, and pneumonia-causing bacteria. This is from wearing a clean mask at the beginning of the day, just for one day. Masks are a political statement at this point, and I don't appreciate my kids being used as political pawns. No one is responsible for my kids' health but me. Not you, not their friends, not their teachers, me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schroeder. Our next speaker is, I believe, H.J. Mann. Is that correct?
Good afternoon, my name is H.J. Mann. I live on Dartmouth Avenue. I have 2 daughters in the district, a 7th and a 9th grader. What I've noticed at this meeting and the last meeting too is just about everyone removing their masks to speak to the board. And that is because we all know it is impossible to be clearly understood with masks on. Masks are germ-filled and therefore dangerous. A 2008 research study conducted on exhumed bodies from the Spanish pandemic proved that a significant number of the deaths from the Spanish flu were not caused by the flu virus itself, but were caused by bacterial pneumonia, which is caused by inhaling bacteria. You have heard firsthand from citizens in this community over and over that masks are harmful to their children. So here we are today contemplating that in order to address a potential harm that might or might not come to an extremely small percentage of our kids,
we are going to actively engage in doing a direct harm to 100% of our kids. The entire thing is a manufactured hysteria. It is your fault for allowing this to continue, and it must end now. The question today is not whether the HPISD should have a mask mandate. The controlling law is with the Supreme Court and the governor's executive order. That's already been settled, and the Attorney General's vowed to sue you. So the bottom line is, you will certainly lose that lawsuit, and you are violating your trust with a capital T as a trustee. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Ms. Betsy Sorensen.
Hi, I'm Betsy Sorensen. I live at 3944 Purdue Avenue. I want to start with 2 counterpoints. First of all, from the nurses and doctors I've spoken to, hospitals are out of ICU beds due to massive staffing shortages. Second of all, my kid's teacher was required to test because a kid in her class got it. She tested positive and she's totally asymptomatic. She's vaccinated, as are most teachers. The teachers that I know just want to carry on. I graduated from Highland Park and Vanderbilt University. I'm not a doctor, but I'm not a dummy. I use cost-benefit analysis to make decisions regarding my children every day. Last year, for 3 months, our kids were in masks when the case count in Dallas County was less than 200 a day on average, in a population of 2.65 million people. Using reasonable cost-benefit analysis, masks should have been removed from our kids. Masks are unhealthy, unsanitary, and questionably ineffective. As of yesterday, according to CNN, 331 out of 53 million kids aged 5 to 17 have died from COVID-19. Given this fact, the cost-benefit analysis regarding my child's face and COVID-19 should be mine and my husband's.
Yes.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ms. Rachel Newman.
Hi, thank you very much for the opportunity here. My name's Rachel Newman. I live on Caruth. I moved here with my family in the middle of the school year last year because I knew HP had the best interests of all children in mind, and it was much more than lip service. So I'm proud to be back to where I grew up, and I'm just really imploring you to do the right thing. I think you know what's right in this case. Masks don't work. Mask mandates are even worse, and they divide our community. And that's what I returned home to, was to be a part of the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Newman. The next speaker is Rohel Hades. Can't read the last letter here. Hader, I think, maybe. H-A-I-D-E-R. 4509 Emerson. Oh, sorry.
Hi everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. My daughter goes to 11th grade in Highland Park School District, and every day we send her, we're praying that she is back safe. And everybody out of here, every parent, they want their daughters and their sons, their children safe when they come back. This is not a political discussion. This is not something that we wanted or we do not want it. Think about that this is a common enemy. This is our enemy. Coronavirus has caused a lot of damage. And this Delta variant, it is causing a lot of damage. Please come up with something which everybody agreed to. Let's do something so that we can beat this enemy. And this is we against this enemy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, our next speaker is Divya Srivastava. do better or worse than us?
That's really great. My name is Divya Srivastava, I'm on Greenbrier. Thanks again for taking the time, and you guys have spent a lot of hours reading the data that people have sent in, various scientific studies, and just remember that there's, we're living in an era of misinformation, and I hope that people can discern what are the expert studies and what are not the expert studies. I'm a mother to a first grader and 2 future HPISD students. I'm also one of over 160 physicians who strongly urge the board to enforce masking in school. I know the law is not on our side. One board member mentioned at the last meeting that perhaps we should have the expectation that people are masked. And I have to thank the leadership and teachers who are setting an example. My son's teacher and multiple teachers in that cohort are masked, and his school has the least cases on an HPISD dashboard. I think that the leadership setting the example, the teachers setting a good example. My son says there's only 1 kid who's not masked in his school, and my son is thriving, happy to go to school every day, loving everything that his teacher is teaching him, and I just hope that he can stay in school, in person. We have to be adaptable. No one wants their kids wearing masks all year long. I hope that we can get through the next few weeks, get through this peak with our kids safely in school.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart. Our next speaker is Kenneth Reimer.
Hi, thanks for your time. I'm Kenneth Reimer. I've had 3 girls go through the school system. I've got a daughter that's going to graduate. She's a senior this year. I was just looking, and everyone's done a lot of homework here. It wasn't obvious to me that masks would work, because, and I think you guys know this, the virus thing is 0.12 microns. Microns are thousandths of a millimeter, I believe. I know it attaches to aerosols and things, but I know that these little surgical masks all these kids are wearing, I mean, the holes in them are measured, or about, I think they're 10 microns, so there's just no way that they can work. But moreover, the way they're worn, they have holes in them that measure in inches. So it's pretty insane. And Laura Thielen brought something up here. The summary of the 90,000 person CDC study said distancing, hybrid models, classroom barriers, HEPA filters, and most notably requiring students masking were found to not have a statistically significant benefit. In other words, these measures could not be said to be effective. So that's the largest studies done by the CDC. I can't believe we're here. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Austin Hopper.
Austin Hopper, 3816 Miramar Avenue. We have some members of this board who want to force our kids to wear masks. We have others willing to go with the flow. We have none, to my knowledge, who have pledged to fight for our kids so that they don't have to wear masks. So regarding our board, I was kind of wondering, what do these people do in their private lives? Do they wear masks?
No.
I attended the HB football game held indoors on Thursday. I saw one of our board members up on the big screen. And guess what? He was not wearing a mask. Then I saw the spouse of another board member at the game not wearing a mask. Granted, this was a spouse, not a board member, but if you can't convince your spouse to wear a mask, how is it you can force my child to wear it? Finally, I have a picture of what appears to be yet another board member at the game not wearing a mask. So on the one hand, you appear willing to let outside forces come into the district and make our kids wear masks. But on the other hand, you yourselves went in indoor public places with thousands of people do not wear masks. It is time for this board to take a new path. Our kids must be protected from fear, anxiety, depression, and suicide,
Mr. Hopper,
and infection caused by masks. Keep masks optional.
Thank you. The next speaker is Michelle Hopper.
Hi, Michelle Hopper on Miramar.
and asking that you keep masks optional regardless of what's happening in the courts. I invite you to view video with HP grad Don Leak and Dr. Peter McCullough showing that there are early treatments available for COVID and they are being censored. I promise you, I send so much love to those who are gripped by fear, and at the same time, it doesn't mean that I need to harm myself or my children in order to calm your fear. I want to ask everyone, do you really think it's up to you or to anyone else how much oxygen a person is allowed to breathe? Should any human control how much oxygen another person is allowed to have? If you believe that to be true, then where does it end? Should we donate a vial of blood when we enter a building? How about a kidney for the greater good? I don't think the people pushing the greater good in history really were looking out for everyone's best interest. Is it possible we're being manipulated now? My truth is that each person's right and ability to breathe oxygen is between that person and God. It's not up to the government or any human, just God and that person's ability to breathe. If we don't hold the line for freedom now, there may come a time when it is too late.
Thank you, Ms. Hunt. Our next speaker is Mr. Leo Whelan.
Good afternoon. My name is Leo Whalen. I've got 5 grandchildren that go to Highland Park schools. I don't have anything to add to what's been said today. The law is clearly on the side of no masking. The science is clearly on the side of no masking. While we're meeting, there are probably 40 to 50,000 Americans that are in Afghanistan right now. 13 Americans died yesterday needlessly. I want to use the rest of my time as a moment of silence and pray for the people that are still in Afghanistan, that are Americans, and even the Afghanis that are tortured by the Taliban. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Ms. Michelle Caraballo. Caraballo.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Dr. Michelle Caraballo. I am a pediatric pulmonologist at Children's Medical Center, the parent of a Boone first grader, and I'm also one of the 162 physicians that signed the letter in support of masking that you all received. Study after study after study have demonstrated the safety and efficacy of masks at reducing viral transmission. Many of these were sent to the board in an email last night by one of the other physicians. I would also be more than happy to provide them to anyone here. Viruses do not travel as individual particles. They travel in droplets and aerosols that are larger than the size filtered by the masks. Children's...
Ladies and gentlemen, please let the speaker speak without being interrupted.
Our
Please
pediatric ICU at Children's has 44 beds. As of 2 hours ago, I checked before I left my house today, 42 out of the 44 were occupied and 14 were with COVID patients. That's a third of the kids in our intensive care unit right now due to COVID. There are over 45 total children hospitalized at Children's, of whom a third are in the ICU. It is not true, and I don't want to see that COVID does not affect children. I don't want to see anybody's child in the ICU. I'm not here to throw a hissy fit. I'm here because I took an oath to vouch for the safety and well-being of all children, and I devote my life to that, and I ask you please consider masking.
How many kids had RSV?
Thank you very much.
A lot of them are.
Okay, our next speaker is Mr. Matt Gallo.
Gallo, 4125 Caruth. The flu is more dangerous to children than COVID. 4.5 million kids have tested positive for COVID. 0.0099% have died. They're all tragic, but that is 454 kids out of 4.59 million. During the 2018 to 19 season, the CDC estimated 489 kids died from the flu. That's more than the 454 kids that died from COVID, and that's in a year and a half. No one suggested in this room or this board that masks in any of the years prior to COVID coming on the scene, that masks needed to be happening. You're more likely to be struck by lightning than to die as a child. Forcing masks on children is Munchausen syndrome by proxy. For those not familiar with this syndrome, it is a mental health problem in which a caregiver makes up or causes an illness or injury in a person under his or her care, such as a child or elderly adult, or a person with a disability. It's abuse. It's serious. Abusers often feel like their life is out of control, and they often have poor self-esteem and they can't deal with stress or anxiety.
Thank you, Mr. Gallo.
Those calling for masks on our children are abusers. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Tammy, how many more do you have before we need to take a break? 4. Okay. There's a technical issue with the timer, so we have 4 more, and then we'll have to take a break so she can reset. We didn't anticipate quite as many comments as we got. Okay, our next speaker is Dakota Wolf.
Hello, my name is Dakota Wolf, and I live on 3601 Bingley Avenue. I am a student here in HP, and I'm here to say that I believe that masks do not do good for everyone who is a student in the HP schools. As a student here since kindergarten, I believe that it is not right that last year we were forced to wear masks. They didn't really do that much, and I could see that many people, as I was sitting in class, were putting their masks under their nose, so it really defeats the whole point anyways. So many people were taken out of school because they got contact trays, and we had so few people in our classes that it was hard to learn. And even this year, some of my teachers, I'm in Spanish, and I cannot understand a word she is saying. She has to write everything. I take so many notes. I do not do good on any of my tests. So I would just like to say that please don't force us to wear masks this year. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. The next speaker is Mr. Jeff Terry.
Jeff Terry, HPISD, 2 kids, Abbott Avenue. Thank you for your work and for your professionalism. It would require an exceptional set of circumstances for anyone to come between me and my children. It seems clear that no such circumstance exists, and I offer 5 points to support that. Number 1, healthy children are at negligible risk of COVID. The Dallas County website makes that clear. The CDC makes that clear. The Johns Hopkins data makes that clear. It's unequivocal. Number 2, consider this. The Netherlands, Finland, Sweden, Ireland, United Kingdom, and Italy all have different COVID positives. They have one thing in common. Children under 12 are exempted from wearing masks. Ireland calls it child abuse. Number 3, masks do not help. It's common sense. The evidence is mostly clear. To me, it's very clear. Common sense. Look at little kids. Number 4, masks do harm. It's common sense. People who wear masks and walk up here and take them off prove that it disrupts communication. Number 5, and this is important, everyone on earth living today and for all of eternity will get COVID. You cannot eradicate a virus, a respiratory virus with animal reservoirs. That is clear. So we need to stop acting like an asymptomatic case is a crisis.
Thank you, Mr. Terry.
Give people options October 8th.
Mr. Terry, thank you. Okay, we're going to take a break and reset, or we have a couple more? I'm gonna take a break now. Okay, we're gonna take a break just for technical stuff. Don't go any, I mean, it's what, 5 minutes or 2 minutes? 30 seconds, sorry. Our next speaker, she can make her way up, is Tina. Who's
coming to relieve you.
Doing that? Doing that. Oh, that's wow. Sorry, I thought it was you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're waiting for our next speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry. All right, our next speaker is Tina Newman-Dyke. Ladies and gentlemen, just for the benefit of the speakers, you don't have to stick around, but I would ask that you don't talk in here. If you're going to speak, please go outside. We got about 10 more speakers to go. Please give them the chance we gave all the previous ones.
Hi, my name is Tina Newendike. I live at 4419 University Boulevard. I have a daughter currently enrolled in the high school here, and I've had 2 kids go through the HPISD program, and I've been very happy with your work and everything everybody does. I feel very uncomfortable public speaking. I'm very nervous, and it's hard for me to get this out. I was a bit of a silent majority. I never got involved in anything. And after seeing what is being done to our kids by people even trying to force them to wear a mask is disgusting to me. Yes. It is not clean, it is not healthy, it does no good for our children. They cannot learn. I feel that I have to come up here and let you know, please, please do not mask our kids. It is not good for our children. Thank you.
Our next speaker is John Greco. Mr. Greco, there he is.
I'm John Greco, and I'm at 3212 Lovers Lane. I've got 2 kids in the district. Thank you for the time today, and thank you for taking another look at this issue. I really do think we all have in common that we want our kids to be in person, in school, and want the schools to stay open. And we have a great example of what works to do that last year, and we have a great example that what we're doing this year isn't working. We've got 123 positive cases by the last updated district numbers. We have had 7 days of instruction. We've already had to cancel the curriculum night. We've canceled the 5th grade outing at MIS. We've shut down an Armstrong kindergarten class. If we keep doing what we're doing, we're not going to have in-person schools. We're going to have shut down schools or virtual schools. I don't think we want that. It's masks. You got to mandate them because people aren't wearing them. But you got to do all the other stuff too. We need the lunch protocols from last year. We need more ventilation. We need plexiglass screens.
Ladies and gentlemen, please let him speak, just like we let everybody else speak. You can have another 15 seconds, Mr. Greco.
Hey, thank you. All of those protocols are what had the in-person schools working last year. If you think that a mask interferes with a child's socialization and development, being at home by themselves interferes a whole lot more. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ryan Watts.
Good afternoon. My name is Ryan Watts, and I have 2 sons that attend Bradfield Elementary, live at 4564 Bordeaux Avenue. And I just want to ask a sort of practical question. You know, does forcing our children to wear masks every day have any impact on reducing transmission of COVID cases? Look around this room, look at the people that are wearing masks, not wearing masks. I've been a lot of places in the last couple of weeks since there's been a mask mandate laid down. Office buildings, bars, restaurants. I'd say 10% of people are wearing masks. Adults clearly are choosing, and the vast majority of adults in this community are choosing not to comply with any sort of mask mandate. They're not wearing it. And so if we're certainly in this community unwilling to wear them, you know, why in the world do we want to mandate this on our kids? The effect that it will have is negligible. So I would urge you to resist the urge to quote unquote do something by forcing our kids to wear masks that in reality are going to have no effect on stopping the spread of COVID. Change the paradigm. Stop counting cases. You know, it doesn't matter. Get a vaccine if you want to. Then let's just move on with our lives. It's a virus, we've got to live with it.
Thanks, Mr. Watts. Our next speaker is Ms. Julie Lowen.
They started.
Oh.
Let's wait until I start speaking on my stage, please. Votes have been cast, and in real time, HP campuses have been our ballot box. Our residents have overwhelmingly viewed against mask mandates. Are y'all listening? Frankly, you are not here to vote in favor of your individual preference. You were put in a position by our community to uphold and represent each neighborhood's voice and message on behalf of us as a school district. Each one of you are supposed to serve our school district as a sounding board, mediator, and trusted ally. You were voted into a position that requires restraint to stay objective and protect the majority's view, not to implement your own personal beliefs above the community's wishes or Texas law. Our majority clearly opposes the mask mandate at Highland Park schools. The preponderance of scientific evidence definitely supports this position, and we're frustrated with constantly having board meetings to repeat this. The facts are Abbott's executive orders can't mandate. If you do, there will be fines. Each individual currently has the right to make their own choices on wearing a mask. If you want to wear a mask, wear one.
Ms. Lowen,
This is our right to choose, not yours.
Thank you, Ms. Lowen.
We are following the law.
Our next speaker is Elena Zurich, I believe. I might have gotten that one wrong.
It's Alana, it's okay.
Okay. That's actually not the part I thought I got wrong.
I'm nervous, sorry. Hello, board members and fellow parents. My name is Alana Zurich, and I left Los Angeles in June because of the lockdowns and mask mandates, which affected my child socially, psychologically, and emotionally, yet did absolutely nothing to stop COVID. In fact, right now, LA is back to masking, and the numbers are rising. How is that possible? This is all propaganda and mind manipulation, and it's dangerous because its purpose is to control rational people through fear. Credible scientific data is being suppressed, censored, and removed, and the only information that suits this narrative is pushed out and echoed. In the interest of time, I'll name these credible professionals that provide scientific proof that both masks and vaccines are useless. And the scientific and medical communities have failed the people. Yes. So in the interest of time, Dr. Michael Eden, the former vice president of Pfizer Respiratory Pharmacology, PhD, biochemist and toxicologist. Dr. Robert Malone, virologist, immunologist, and the inventor of mRNA. Dr. Karen Kingston, biotech analyst and former Pfizer employee, and Kerry Mullis, the inventor of the PCR test, who said himself, when we turn up the test, we can find anything and anyone.
Ms. Zurich, thank you very much.
Not a mask, it doesn't say protects you from COVID.
Okay. Our next speaker is Ms. Laura Alder.
Hi, my name is Laura Alder, and I live on Normandy Avenue. I spoke last time, y'all have gotten lots of emails from me. My background is actually in infectious disease. I have a master's in public health. I worked in HIV for a really long time, and it's interesting because all the things I'm hearing from lots of these parents are exactly what I heard at the HIV clinic about who does and who doesn't get infected, and
what does and doesn't prevent, and it was ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. I think the thing that sticks with me the most is this idea that we need to follow the law. We need to follow the law. Well, what I find interesting, and I'll go ahead and say I have a high schooler. We had to institute an extracurricular code of conduct regarding alcohol because it was such a huge issue at the high school. We had to have purple signs put in our front yards about how you were an alcohol-free home for minors because it was such a huge issue. We've had deaths in this community because of alcohol. So for people who are arguing that we're such a law-abiding group of people, we're not, because there's a problem. My daughter went to the recent party as a senior. Everybody came drunk, and all of them were underage. That's all I'm saying.
Thanks, Ms. Ullman. Okay, our next speaker is Mr. Eric Housen.
It's Eric Hansen. I live at 3508 Stanford. I have 5 kids at home, 4 in the district, 3 at UP Elementary, 1 at high school. I'd like to address 2 things today. First, the Delta variant has an R naught that is a base transmission rate 2 to 3 times that of the original COVID virus. And as a result, it's much more infectious. It's not a few percent more, it's 2 to 3 times as infectious. Second, the vaccine is not nearly as effective. So against the original variant, vaccine efficiency was about 91%. Against the Delta variant, it's only about 66%. Taken together, that means that going around without a mask with the vaccine is no more effective than going around without a mask under the original virus. So we really need to mask everybody until the infection rate drops to 0, or we're going to be doing this every year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Our next speaker is Dr. Haji Wong. Forgive me if I got that wrong. Or Wayne, Dr. Wayne.
I'm Haji Wong. I'm a cardiologist. I live on the 3533 CB Avenue. I did not prepare to speak, but I really want to share what I've been through. And I think the perception of COVID is very different. That's understandable. Even my physician friends who just specialize in outpatient practice, they do not think the COVID is a big deal. But in the hospital, it's totally different. I work in the hospital and outpatient setting. Last March, I bought the highest life insurance as I can because we know we're going to go into a battle, so we have to take care of the family if something happens. Nobody quit, nobody really, I think everybody tried hard to cope with the first wave. No matter you're pro-COVID, pro-vaccine, against the vaccine, pro-mask, against mask, even if you don't like me, I will treat you the same. If I die through doing it, I'm okay with it. But do not insult physicians. It's hurtful. It's heartbreaking for the physicians who died, who ended up in COVID. I don't think we have any political motivation. I don't care. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. Okay, our next speaker is Mr. Andrew Sina.
Hello, my name is Andrew Sino, and I live at 4300 Armstrong Parkway. I went to school last year every single day since Governor Abbott ended the mask mandate without a mask, and I was denied my right to an equal education. That's all I gotta say is these people are not on your side. They're against you kids, and quite frankly, it's disgusting.
Our next speaker is Ms. Laura Sina.
you guys have lost your focus on educating our kids. With all of this charade, whether you're gonna deny it or, go against the law or not, your job is not the safety of our kids. We choose, are you gonna start saying, banning red food dye, they can't bring anything processed to school to eat? Are you gonna start requiring, Chief Rowden, is he gonna sit outside the schools and if kids aren't wearing a helmet riding their bikes? How far does this go? Because in all of this, you have lost the focus on educating our kids, and they're the ones that are hurting because of this. I pulled my 4 kids out, and they are severely behind in their education because of this charade. And we need to refocus on the goal of educating these kids.
Our next speaker is AJ Mason.
All right, let's just be honest. This isn't about the mass. This is about control.
Amen.
And this is about domination and submission and oppression. Let me tell you something. There is a history behind wearing masks. In the days of slavery, they wore a mask. Do you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yes. A mask. Okay, as a form of control, submission, and it kept them oppressed. So you're trying to keep these kids oppressed. Most of them are reading on a 4th grade education in high school. This is ridiculous. So we need to focus on these kids and keeping them happy and healthy and not feeling like they are suffering from depression because they're being oppressed. And under control. This is straight up tyranny, and it has to stop, and it will stop. And that communist, Clay Jenkins, that's all I need to say.
Thank you. So our last speaker is Ms. Sue Burke.
I am Sue Burke. I'm at 3635 Mockingbird. I have two children in the district. I just would like to say that the law says no masks. I don't know why we're having this meeting, why we're taking a beautiful Saturday and all these people are taking time out of their day to be at this meeting. We talked about this before. We all came up here and spoke. I want to say that my children will not be wearing masks no matter what.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more speaker. I apologize, Sue. I thought you were last, but we have one more, Unsung Coven.
I'm Unsung Coven. I live at 3837 Marquette Street. If a group of unelected individuals are able to get our board to move against the clear majority of parents' wishes and force medical devices on our children, devices that when can forcibly argued do not prevent infection and transmission of SARS-CoV-2 virus, and that have serious side effects from prolonged use, what else can you be allowed to force on our children? COVID shots? These individuals are not our doctors, and they are not my children's parents. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, the board is going to go into closed session for consultation with attorney pursuant to Texas Open Meetings Act Government Code Section 551.071. In the interest of convenience, we're going to recess into another room across the hall so that all of you can stay here. You're welcome to stay here. I can't make any estimate for how long we'll be in closed session. But we will return back into here when we're finished with closed session.